Hello to chapter 42. We'll take on the next 5 chapters. So Greg and Zander are still stuck with this website, the Elsewhere website, and they can't seem to see what it's about. They can't crack into it. And then Greg came up with this clever idea, the font code app. The next morning he wakes Zander up all excited to tell him about this app and about this plan that he has. Opgewonde is excited. Okay, and vordering is the progress that he's made. Okay, so then they remember Greg tried to do it, then he realized he didn't have a phone last night because Zander made him get rid of his phone. Anyway, hulle neem 'n foto with Zander's phone. The app processes it, and then they see it works. Okay, it actually works, and there's a message on the website: "Greetings, my friend. To find me at my private location, go to this address." Okay, so it's on the dark web. Remember, .onion is anything in the dark web, and it's not a normal address. It's just a random letters and numbers. Then they go to Tor. Remember, Tor is like your browser, your Chrome or whatever you use. And on the website there are only words like nootropics, interesting to read about. Actually, I'm not going to go into it. Undetectable anabolic steroids. Okay, all kinds of dark and illegal things. Then they find a username there and they send a message. Okay, this is how they word it. Interesting. I would like to place an order for, let's call it a specially made product for the time being. I would need more information on your experience in this field. So cleverly worded, they're trying to get the baker to reveal some of his previous experience. Remember, they suspect that he was involved in Project Coast as well, which has also had to do with biological warfare products in apartheid South Africa. As they wait for an answer, Greg and Zander, they go jogging through the streets, and when they get close to the house, this is just a little interesting little thing. It exposes some of Zander's humanity. Zander's got so many psychological and emotional walls built up around him that we don't really know the true person. We don't always see the true person. But there's a little moment where he's close to home and there's a little boy in the street. He picks him up and spins him around in the air, and for a moment Greg wonders, is this how Greg's or Zander's dad used to play with him as a child? Did he pick him up? Did he throw him around? Did he play with him? Okay, so they get home. They tell Ayla about the hidden link that they got, and that it's hidden. And Ayla makes a strange comment. She says to Greg, do you also hide something? So remember, there's this continual suspicion between characters. Who's keeping secrets from each other? Because none of them exactly have a clean track record. Perhaps Ayla, although she does come into some kind of doubt a little bit later, or more doubt. Okay. Okay. So the plan is this, right? So if the baker answers, they want to hide a Trojan on his computer. Okay, so they want to see if they can get some kind of access into his computer, see where he is, and track him down. Later that morning, another message comes through. It says, and this is now suspectedly, or this is now allegedly, we think it's the baker. We don't know. We don't know for sure. He answers, no detailed experience will be supplied. Eventually, it will all become clear and evident. For the time being, however, I can assure you of the highest professionalism. So he's not stupid, this guy. They're dealing with a very intelligent human. He's been hiding from police and FBI for a very long time. He's not just going to somehow throw away his location and he plays cards or show his hand of cards to two little hacker boys that are trying to track him down. Greg and Zander is gefrustreerd. They are understandably frustrated. Then Zander replies again. He says, we must insist on info or your working experience to root out any time wasters. Okay, so and then the shocking answer comes back. Okay, dan kom die antwoord. Greg en Zander, met wie dink julle speel julle? So the baker knew it was them all along trying to set a trap for him. And they like get this nauseating feeling on their stomach, like they've been caught out. And they were properly caught out. Okay. They don't know what to do. Obviously, they don't reply. They're probably pretty scared. The next chapter, the uitdaging, the challenge. And then the baker replies again with a message. He says, julle dink julle kan met die groot menere in die kruit klim. So that means you think you can get into the ring with the big boys, into the boxing ring. A kruit is a boxing ring. Julle dink julle kan my vasttrek. You think you can catch me. No, two. Ek daag julle uit. I challenge you. Ek daag julle uit is I challenge you. Of dalk kry ek julle eerste. Maybe I find you first. Die hele plan het plat geval. Zander in a temper tantrum, he loses his mind there, and he storms out of the house. Okay, and there Ayla and Greg and Plank are left there sitting in the flat looking at each other for answers. However, later Zander comes back. He's full of courage. He's newly encouraged. Okay, he decides, screw this. Hy aanvaar die baker se uitdaging. Sorry, that should be accepts the challenge. Now they've got a few plans to try and track down. First they said they had 2 plans, but then it was eventually 4 plans that they tried just to get his real kind of address. Where is this guy operating from? Okay, first they try through his Bitcoin to see if they can track down his address somehow through his Bitcoin address. Okay, hy het dalk op die internet sy Bitcoin adres gegee en het is later weer op die donker web genoem. It doesn't work. There's no match of addresses on dark web and on Bitcoin. Hulle teken, second attempt, hulle teken die sagte ware agter die onion adres. They target the software behind the onion address. Then you use malware that you then get the IP address from. Doesn't work. Greg gets another idea. Hulle kan kyk of die baker data krummels gelos het. Little trails of data from the video that he had left on Zander's blog about the murder. Remember that video that he posted of Zander's dad's murder? Maybe he left some kind of thing there. They use a tool called EXIF tool, but all the metadata has been wiped out. Okay. Then they get the best plan yet. They try a more sort of human approach, something that's going to play on the baker's emotion and sense of sort of sixth sense of enjoyment when other people suffer. Okay. Hulle maak vir die baker a video. They're going to make a video for him. But this is not about the video. They're going to say they've made a video that he really wants to see. But in order for him to play the video, you can't use a VPN. Okay, VPN is when it's played from a cloud. Okay, so can't use a VPN. You will need a codec that Greg and Zander will place on the surface web. So he will need to download a codec to be able to watch the video. But Greg and Zander will create that codec and plant it on the surface web as a tool for him to access the video. Then when he downloads the codec, they can see his IP address. Okay, so the only way, so they're playing on his curiosity. Okay, like he's going to get so curious that he's not going to be able to resist not downloading this codec to play the video. So it'll probably be something like this. They'll press play on the video, and then the video will say, no, you need this codec. And then when he searches it on normal Chrome or normal Google, then he finds that codec that they've planted. Okay. They also place a Trojan in that codec to try and get access to his computer. Okay, so that's the best plan they had. So teen die aand is die plan gereed. By that night the plan is ready, and they send him a message. Jy het 'n afskuwelike video van my pa se moord gelos. Ek het vir jou ook een. Jy sal dit beslis wil sien. You left me a afskuwelike is a terrible, horrifying video of my dad's murder. I also have one for you. Jy sal dit beslis wil sien. You will definitely want to see this. Die video wag vir jou op my SFTP server. Ek dink jy het nog die password. Enjoy. The SFTP server is what the baker, I think, cracked to be able to place the murder video. So he's like, you still got the password, you cracked it anyway. So you can see it there. Cool, so the trap is set. The next morning, they look at the codec's log, and it works. Where's the baker? He's in Florence, Italy. Zander sê hulle moet hom gaan haal. Zander said they have to go fetch him, but there's a bit of a problem. Greg and Plunk can't fly. They don't have passports to fly. Okay. Chapter 44. Technicum. Greg and Plunk het nie Schengen paspoort nie. You need this to be able to travel in Europe. Hulle bestel, then they order, falsified European passwords. They pay through Bitcoin. It's going to take 10 days to arrive. Okay, 10 days is a long time. So now they know where the baker is, but now they have to sit around where they are now to kind of wait out until their passports come. They sit and talk about the technicum. It's an interesting term. Sorry about the interruption. Zander, Greg, and Ayla talk about the technicum, and the technicum is an interesting word. It means, and if I googled it, and it gets quite complex, but essentially it's the influence of technology on people. And there are all kinds of theories in the humanities, sciences, about how technology actually influences our personal lives. Because we evolved to basically hunt and stay warm and to procreate and live in small groups, and suddenly the world is interconnected, and how people have adapted to that, what it is like to have the world at your feet suddenly. I can click onto any Google site and see the world. I can zoom into any street in America. It's supposed to make our lives easier, but it kind of makes our life more complex unintentionally, and we become minder menslik, we become less human. We sit in restaurants and we don't talk to each other. We sit on the couch at home and we look at our screen. Okay, we walk down the street, we don't greet people. Sometimes it affects our values and our norms. Well, it has to, in a way. If you are suddenly exposed to so many complexities that it takes our freedom away, it makes us, enslaves us to technology rather than makes us free. Okay, so obviously you can debate this back and forth, but the kind of idea is just thrown in there. This concept of the technicum reminds Greg of the story, The Machine, that was found on that Elsewhere website. Remember that it started off with that story. Technology manipulates our thinking and takes our freedom away. That's basically what the meaning of that story was. Okay, and you can kind of argue that Greg and Zander and all the characters have in some way been negatively influenced by technology. They've been drawn into a dark web, a dark world where things are not okay. Okay, hoofstuk 45. Ons kan die heelal wees. We can be the universe. Remember, there's this 10-day period now where they're waiting for their passports, and Greg and Planck decides to explore the Grand Bazaar. Okay, interesting place. If you Google it, there's a little picture of it. He buys his mom a gift there, which still shows that he very much has a strong connection, a strong love for his mother. He thinks back of her and wonders about her safety, especially after she's received threats. And there you can see the Grand Bazaar. It's got all kinds of traditional markety stuff there. He also goes and shows Planck the Hagia Sophia, and Planck misses Lisa terribly. Okay, and obviously Greg feels guilty that he has Planck there and that he's drawn him into this mission, but it's also kind of Planck's own fault because he injected the transponder into his own hands. Planck gets quite philosophical about love. Hy verduidelik vir Greg dat die liefde vir hom 'n kans kan wees om 'n heelal binne iemand anders te wees. The love is a chance for you to be a whole universe within someone else. Okay, that's quite romantic and poetic. Greg beseft dat Planck nog altyd vir hom soos 'n broer was. His real brother all along has actually been Planck, not Zander. Zander manipulated his way into that position and with his social experimentation. Planck also warns, as a good friend should, that he must leave Ayla alone. Okay, Ayla, it belongs to Zander. Okay, and it will spoil the whole thing now if Greg lets himself be seduced by Ayla. Not that she's trying, it's just that he has these feelings. Greg, remember, also an attractive guy, so if he tries, he may be able to get something right with Ayla. Eventually, uiteindelik daag hulle koeverte met hulle paspoorte op. Okay, and they're going to fly in 2 days' time. Plan is still in place. They're going to find the baker. They're cool little hacker boys, and the girlfriend and the friend with a transponder in his hand. They're all cool, buying stuff with Bitcoin, flying all over the world. But then suddenly, skielik, bars Planck in. He said, I've made a big mistake. We are all in danger. Okay, chapter 46. Die onmoontlike keuse. The impossible choice. What happened here? What did Planck do? Remember, there's this guy, Candon, that Planck has mentioned before. He chats to Candon there in the market and obviously sees him quite often. Now remember that Zander and Greg, they're the two hackers. Planck knows nothing about hacking. He's just there. He's just killing time by sleeping, lying around on the terrace, looking out over the lake. He doesn't have much to do. Probably wanders the little avenues there. And he said, he comes home and he says that Candon warned him that 2 men were asking about 2 South Africans and a girl. He also says that Candon borrowed or lent him a cell phone so that he can phone Lisa. Okay, interesting. Planck says that he spoke Afrikaans and that nobody would have understood, but that's a dumb reason. That's a dumb argument. Candon says that he knows where they live, or Candon knows where Zander and Planck lives. So immediately Zander freaks out and he says, we must flee, we must go, we must leave the country. Hy vernietig dadelik hulle laptops, immediately destroys their laptops, the stuff that they've been doing research on. They try and pack everything, and as they're packing, sure enough, there's a knock on the door. People are talking with Turkish voices, still knocking on the door. They can't escape. So they go through the terrace door and they try to escape there, ontsnap. As they're running away, Zander says to Greg, listen, this is where we leave Planck behind. We can't take this guy with us. He is a risk. He has put us in risk 3 times by implanting the transponder. That was the first stupid thing he did. Second stupid thing was he phoned Lisa. Third stupid thing he did was he spilled information to Camden. Greg moet kies tussen Zander en Planck. Now he has to choose. Alright, he has to make a very, very impossible choice. Onmoontlike keuse, as the title says. Obviously, Greg chooses Zander. Okay, he makes the most difficult decision in his life. Okay, and he regrets this decision later in the book many, many more times. Okay. Planck kind of understands. Okay, he's always the nice guy, always tries to be the best mate, and he encourages Greg to go. Greg says, listen, we're going to Florence. Go find your way. Meet us there. Okay. By the way, at the moment, there are people chasing them. They can see them coming. Greg, Zander, and Ayla, they jump in a taxi. And there, Greg and Planck's paths separate. And we are left wondering if they will be reunited again later in the book. Thank you so much. That is up to chapter 46. We'll start very soon with chapter 47, Die Vlug na Florence.